Hello lovelies, and welcome back to Mama G Gear. It's Mama G here, and we're going to create something. So I welcome you to wing it with me. I have some yarn, some pom-poms, and a little bit of an idea in my head on kind of what I want to try to make. So you're welcome to wing it with me. And what you would need to do that, I have 2 skeins of 4-weight yarn. Again, anything I say in these unconventional tutorials, you switch it up to whatever works for you. But I have here is a pumpkin color. It's just a Red Heart Super Saver. I just love this color. It's just a perfect orange. Whoop. And we have a roly-poly furls hook. I'm using the eye hook. It's a 5.5, and I believe that is what the recommended hook is for this particular yarn. This colorful yarn here is Caron Jumbo, and I believe it was pumpkin. No, I lied. Plum Copper is a colorway on that. And this I used in something else and have some left and would like to try to work out, wean down my stash. All right, I'd like to make a hat. I have the name of the hat already in my head. I don't have the design, but it's going to be the zebra. Hold on. What did I say it was? Twisted zebra. That's right. The twisted zebra beanie, or twisted zebra hat. I'm going to use one of the colors as our base and the other color as the twist to give it that stripe effect, hence the zebra and hence the twist. All right. So first we're going to create the brim, and I like to do my hats from the brim to the top, so bottom up. And I'm debating on which color. Should we use this for the base of the hat or this? And then the other color would be the twisted stripe. Okay, let's go with the orange. Orange will be easier to see in the tutorial. All right, so we're making our pretzel slip knot. And again, I'm using a 5.5 or eye hook. And 3, 4, 5. And again, we're winging it, so playing it by ear. Let's do 6 for our brim. So there's our chain 6. And then 1 chain, 1 to turn. And then, like I said before, I like to go into the back bump of the stitches. I just think it gives you a cleaner edge. So I'm going to go into the back bump. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And if you've seen other hat tutorials of mine, you'll know that there's a special thing that I like to do. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. And I forgot to grab, oh boy. Here we go. Hold on one sec there. Sorry about that. I forgot to grab one of those. All right, so on this row, I'm going to put this on this side, and this is because on the side of the stitch marker is always a side they're going to use that loop. But on your first loop, your first stitch and your last stitch, you're going to go through the V. You're going to go through both sides of that stitch. That just gives you a sturdier, cleaner edge. Now we're going to start with the loop closest to you. So see how you got the V there? That's 1 stitch. But instead of going through both like we did at the first, and we will do again at the end, we're going to go to the one closest to us and do our single crochet. And by alternating this is going to give the hat a brim, more of a ridge brim look. All right, so now we got that. Now we're at our last stitch, and we're going to go through both of them. Both of the sides of the V for a complete single crochet stitch. Then, and I don't pull them tight because you want this to have give. Then chain 1, turn your work. First and last are always both. Now the stitch marker's on this side. So now we're going to go, we have the V again. We're going to go into the back loop for this row, and only in the middle stitches. And I'll do this a little bit, and then we'll speed up and bring it to the next level. Now the last stitch again, we're going to go through both, chain 1, turn our work, go through both, and here we go. Here's our stitch marker. So we're going to go to this particular side of the V. And I hope it's the vision is not getting blurry. Sometimes the camera does that. It doesn't focus well when you get really close. But I want you to be able to see it. At our last stitch, go through both. Chain 1, turn your work, go through both. And again, the stitch marker's on the back, so we're going to go this row, the back loop. And what this is going to do is give us a nice, I like this ridge. And 6 stitches seems to be a good width for a hat, for it to cover your ears. Oh, I gotta pull some yarn here. And just, we're only to this point, but just to show you, this is the back, which is still looks good, and that's the front. Isn't that pretty? It's a nice design. So what you do here is just keep on going until you get the desired length, whereas when you wrap it around your head as if you're wearing a hat, where it fits nicely. You don't want it too tight and you don't want it too loose. So if you're making this for somebody else, have them put a measuring tape around. And then when the hat is in a rest position, where you're not tugging on it really bad, where you're giving it a little bit of a snug, but not a real tug, okay? Because you want it snug, not tug, right? So that would be the width that you'd want to make your hat. All right, so I'm just going to keep on doing this and turning it, going through both. Stitch marker. And as you're going up your trim, this is going to twist. You could take this off and pull it up higher, so you don't have to feel all the way down as this is twisting to see what's the right and the back side. But you could also tell by looking at it. This is the back side, and this is the right side. See how you have more distinct protruding loops. I guess that's the word. All right, I'm going to put you on hold, and we'll be right back. So go to the size that fits you, will fit you or whomever you're wearing it for, and I'll be right back. Hello, and we're back. Yeah, look at this. This brim could win a twist contest. That's the only dance contest I ever won, was doing the twist. Anyway, I'm sure you're enthralled by that information. We're almost done here. I got one more row, and this is back loop. It's a lot easier to see the stitches to know whether you have go in the back or the front, whatever, with a lighter colored yarn. I usually do darker colors, and it's harder to see. That's when the stitch marker works better. But here's the front. So now it doesn't make a difference what side you're on, like we started here, and I'm on the other side. It doesn't make a difference. What I'd like to do, you don't have to do this, I just think it looks a little cleaner, is when you've gotten to the length where you're comfortable, you're going to chain 1, and instead of turning your work, you're going to go into these sections here. See these, like, it's hard to show you, hopefully you could see it, but there's like these little hole, you know, these are in between the stitches. So if you don't, I just guess at it. I'm not beating myself up for not getting every single one, but you go along. If it were at this point a pattern that you needed to have a specific amount of rows, this gives it a good time to add, you know, how many rows you have, which this pattern so far, I don't know yet because we haven't really designed it, doesn't have specific row. All right, so I'm going to go all the way down, and I'll be right back. Putting you on hold. Hello again. So I hope you opted to do this single crochet down the side of the brim, because I'm thinking that what we can do is, when we're done with the hat, come back and do a twisted design with the other color along the very bottom of the hat. All right, like I said, we're just winging this as we go. All right, so here's the wrong side of the brim. I'm going to flip it over and see we got the nice clean edge, as opposed to this is the raw edge. This is going to be the end, the brim, and then we'll do the twisted stitch around there. And now we need to put these two together to make the actual brim. So you put the right sides together, as you do on all the other kind of stuff, you know, when you're seaming things up. All right, I'm going to chain one, and we're going to go right into that first V. This is the single crochet that we just put on there. And we're also going to find that first V in the other side. See how that worked out? So you got you're right in the V, if this wasn't twisted, of both sides. Going to give it a little bit of tautness. And we're going to do a single crochet. Now we're going to go into the next one on both sides and do a single crochet. You could do just the back loops of both. If you wanted, you could do a different, slip stitch or whatever. But this is just easy for a simple hat. All right, so you're literally going to do that all the way up. And we started with 6 stitches, but then we increased one because we added that single crochet on the end of the brim. And here's our last stitch. Alrighty. I usually give this one a tug. I don't know why. I guess it's a sign of finish the row. Oh my goodness, it's snowing out. What the heck? Yeah, alright, it's snowing out. Alright, I'm just pulling out some yarn. Okay, we're going to flip it right side out. And let's take this out because I forget. That's how I lose a lot of my stitch markers, because I forget they're in the project and that I did, and then I have none left. Anyway, all right. So here's our brim. There's our connecting piece. Looks pretty good, right? Now we come to, and here's our tail. We're going to tuck that in right now. Now we come to the fun part. What stitch? I do know with this hat, I want it to be worked in the round, continuous. Not where you go to the end and then turn it or do, the slip stitch and stitch one. I want this to be a continuous in the round. That's the only thing I know. And I also don't want it to be a really big stitch, like a double crochet. I think I want to stick with a smaller stitch. Now, I'm limited to the stitches that I know comfortably at this point in my crocheting career. If you have another stitch that falls into those guidelines, go for it. I'm going to do a half double. I know it's kind of boring, but it's something that I'm comfortable with and I know. So I'm chaining one. Well, actually, yeah. All right, let's do it. We'll do the whole brim. You could do a regular single crochet on this one if you want. I'm just thinking that for the brim part. Oh, I did that. I haven't done the yarn over, so I got to get back in the swing of things there. All right, as I'm going, by the way, I'm holding the tail. I didn't realize how bright the orange yarn looks on here. Sorry about that. It's blowing out your eyeballs. Hope you're wearing sunglasses. All right, so there's the tail. I'm literally just tucking the tail as I'm going. So there's the tail going in, holding it, and tucking it in that stitch. It's one less thing to have to tuck in at the end. And this is going to be the boring part, because we're literally going to continue in the round with this stitch up to right where you're going to want to start tapering it in or decreasing it to fit the top of your head and the top of the hat. So I'm just going to do this as we go around. So that's basically what we're going to do. The one thing we do want to do, and again, we're just thinking of this on the fly, because this is how my brain operates when I'm trying to design something. So one thing I do want to do, and this might also influence your stitch decision, is I'm going to do the stitches in the inside loop, the back loop, the loop farthest away from me only, throughout the entire hat, because I want a single strand of yarn to be protruding throughout the whole hat, and it's going to protrude in the round, in a circle spiral design, because that is the thread or the yarn that you are going to attach your twisted stripe on. Hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, you'll understand in a hot sec. All right, so we're almost at the end here. So that's the only things that come to mind at the moment in choosing the stitch. I wish this would just pull out. It's really a pain. Well, it's good exercise for my hand, but still. All right, so we're almost to the end. So basically that's what the pattern I think will be. And I'll show you the twisted stitch once we get to that point. And actually, when we're done with the orange part of the hat, and we start with the other color, we could start with the twisted brim on the bottom part, and then just work the yarn up the side in the inside of the hat. This way that's less cutting and, you know, having to tie in ends. I like to tie in as much as I can as we go. I think you guys agree on that one. All right, so now we're at the end. Let me pull out some more yarn. And we're at this point here. Now we're not going to slip stitch and chain one and start the next row, because we want this to go in the round. So we're going to use this as the very first stitch. And I chose to do the half double crochet. I can kind of do that pretty quickly. So I'm going to yarn over. We're not slip stitching. I'm going to go right into the very first chain one into that back loop only. All right, and I'm going to continue back loop only through the entire hat. And you don't want to pull too hard, because you don't want these to be sticking, you know, being too loose. Oh, did you see what I just did there? I missed one thread. So I am going to pull that out because that bothers me. And also I'm right at that stitch. But let me just do a couple more stitches. And this is basically what I'm going to do all the way up. But I want you to see how that starts right there, and how you've got that little strip, that one thread, stitch, 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 stitch. That is where we're going to start the protruding twisted stitch with the other yarn. And this is going to spiral all the way around the hat. So I'm going to, I never really count my rows. I really do this, and then I'll try the hat on to see how high it is if I have to start decreasing. Alrighty, and I'm back. I'm not sure where I left off before, so I just want to reiterate. Here's our rim. Here is where the very first stitch that we started in working in the round. These are half double crochets. Like I said, you could use whatever stitch would work. You don't have to use this particular stitch, but this is what it looks like in the round. And as you could see, it kind of goes and then it just continues. There's no stop and start a new row. It just continues up to the next row. All right, so I did, let's see, here's where we started. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Run the 6th row, or we completed the 6th row. And at this point, for my head, for my hat, is a good place to start decreasing it. And we're going to continue to work in the round, because this right here, this stitch is what we're going to use for the twisted stripe. If you wanted, I don't know if you had seen the nightcap type long pointy hats that I've made. I've used this design and style for those. So if you wanted to create that particular type of hat, I would recommend at this point going every other row and just decreasing it slowly, like maybe 2 decreases, then maybe 3 decreases, 4, whatever, and kind of alternate them on the circle, the circumference, so that you don't have like one whole area, unless you'd like it to be that way. That's going to bend because all the decreases are on one side. That gives it a whole different look. But you can make one of those caps with the twisted top out of this design as well. But this is going to be just a regular cap. I'm probably going to make the top for myself more of a fitted top. So in doing that, I'm going to decrease every 3rd or 4th stitch. That's going to give it a pretty decent decrease. And then maybe the same on the next row, so it's gonna turn in like that. If you wanted it to be a little bigger and more foofy and less tight on the top of your head, then you can decrease every 6th stitch. And that will be a slower decrease. So if you have a lot of hair and you like to wear your hair up in your bun, up underneath your hat, you can accomplish it by doing a slower decrease so the cap is not resting on the absolute top of your head. Hope that makes sense. All right, so basically what I'm going to do here is what I just said, is I'm starting here, and there's 1, 2, and then I'm going to show you on the 4th one I'm going to decrease. So here's the 4th stitch. So I'm going into the back. I'm still staying in the back. Instead of finishing off that half double crochet, I'm going to go into the next stitch, pull it up. I've got 4 on the hook. I'm going to go through 3 and then the 2. Nope, I lied. And go into all 4. Sorry, I was thinking double crochet. All right, so then we're going to do another 4th. Let me do that again where I don't mess it up, hopefully. 2, 3, and now we're going to decrease on this one. So let's pull it up just like we'd normally do it, but then we're going to go to the next back loop. So there's 4 that we're going to go through, and that's a decrease. Pretty simple. All right, so I'm going to work my way around doing this, and I will be back with you on the other side. Hold on. Okay, I went and finished that last round or row, and that was my last decrease. And I'm going to continue to go around, and I decreased every 4th stitch. And I'm going to continue that and do another row. Now here's the 4th stitch. So 1, do the 2nd one, pull them all through, and go to the next. I'm going to do that for another row and see how close I get in the cinching on the top, or if I have to do it a little faster. But this part goes really quickly because you're making each row, you're making the next one smaller and quicker to crochet. All right, I'll put you on hold. All righty. So I only did the 2 rows where I decreased every 4th stitch. I wanted to explain when you're troubleshooting or designing on your own, when it comes to decreasing the top of a hat, if you put this on and you have this part decreasing too quickly, the hat is going to rest higher up on by your ears. It's going to rest higher up on your head. So you don't want to decrease too quickly, but you also, if you want it to be more fitted on the top, you want to not have it too baggy on the top as well, especially if it's for a more masculine person. Not gender thrown here, I'm just saying. So I did every 4th stitch decrease. If you want it to be a slower, like I said, if you want it to be a slower decrease, make the decreases farther apart. Do 6, do 7, do 10 every 10th row. That's a real gradual, more of a gradual decrease. If you want it to go quickly, that's when you're going to go less and decrease every 3rd, 4th. That's going to be more of a tight, quick decrease. How I finish off my hats is I don't decrease it all the way to where it's nothing. I decrease it till it's probably, I don't know what size that is, but big enough where I can put a hair tie elastic and crochet that in if I want to do it where a ponytail can come out or braids can come out or your hair can come out, or to a point where I can weave it and then cinch it tight, and it's not going to be too crunchy and bulky, but it's going to have a little bit of, space. So I just wanted to be specific. And I think if you're understanding, I'm not saying that you don't understand this, but some of you may not understand the concept of manipulating your stitches to get a specific look in your pattern. All right, so I'm going to continue on. If I keep doing the every 4th one, it's going to continue like this. So at this point here, I've got a pretty decent size opening. I want that to be a little smaller. So this last row, I'm going to decrease every 3rd stitch. So I'm going to tighten it up just a tiny bit more, and I'm hoping that with that, I will have enough where I can cinch that tight enough and the hat will rest low enough on my head so that this part covers my ears. And I think I started saying that earlier and didn't finish, but the brim, I like to do at least 6 stitches if I can, because I think that's a tighter stitch, and that can also work kind of like an ear muff. So you want that to be something that's going to keep your ears warm. Your head being warm is important, but your ears, the nape of your neck, and whatnot, you want them to be really warm, or as warm as possible when it's bitter and snowing out. Okay, I will put you on hold, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do every 3rd, and then I'm going to try it on and see if that size will work for me. And I'm back. Okay, so I did the row where I decreased every 3rd stitch. Then I tried it on my head, and in doing so, I grabbed the top and cinched it to see if the hat rose up on my head, which it did. So that means that if I were to cinch it at this point, this brim will not cover my ears. It'll rise above my ears. So I'm going to do another whole row, and I'm only going to cinch it every 4th because I don't want it to get too tight. So I'm going to do every 4th. I don't think that's going to make a big difference, but just for the sake of argument. So we're going to do the half double crochets. That was the 3rd, so here's the 4th. Also, too, if you feel the need as you're going up and you're working more in the round up here because you don't have a breaking point for each row, you can move your stitch marker up if you'd like. And so this is the 4th, so I'm going to decrease here and do the same all the way around this hat. And I think that will give me just the amount that I need to be able to cinch it to where the hat's not going to rise up above my ears. All right, I'm going to put you on hold and I'll meet you back on the other side. All righty, so I went around that last row and decreased every 4th stitch, tried the hat on, and I'm really cutting it close where it may not truly cover my ears. What I would do to remedy that the next time I make this particular hat or any other hat similar to is instead of starting the decreases at this, I think it was the 7th row around that we did, I might start the decreases on the 8th round. So this is the kinds of things that, you know, it's smart to write this stuff down while you're doing this. And that's what I really lack at, hence why I'm doing the unconventional tutorial. All right. So anyway, here's the size of the opening that we have. I could technically go around again. You know what? Just for argument's sake, you can cinch it at this point, or you can go around again. And I'm going to decrease every 3rd. You don't want to do this all the way around the hat because you end up with like a little pointy top. I don't know if you've ever had that happen when you made a hat. You get kind of a pointy top, and I don't want that. I'd rather it be more cinched. So I'm just going to go around and close it up just a slight bit more by decreasing every 3rd stitch. And if you miss a stitch, again, just fudge it. Don't freak out. No freaking out with these tutorials, okay? And don't do tutorials when you have time restraints, because I was supposed to be somewhere in 5 minutes, and clearly I'm not going to be there. But that's okay. I'd rather be with you. Alrighty. Did I get it all the way around? Where's my... Oh, there we go. So probably one more increase. One. Got a little splitty there. See that what happened? I had actually grabbed the yarn from that loop, but I'm going to pull that out and pull that up. See how that kind of got snagged? So we're going to fix that by going back here and holding here and kind of pulling it so you tighten up that little snag. And that was a double, I believe. Or a decrease, I should say. If not, ooh, we just made it one. So 1, 2, and another decrease. Where's the stitch marker? Right there. But see how it starts to kind of like, well, you might not notice it so much, but it'll start to like beam up. We don't want that. So I think that size is going to be perfect. Let me just do a couple more. And that split. Yeah, I think splitty yarn is really the worst. Not that this is really splitty, it's more me. I'm going to do one more decrease here. All right. Now I'm going to pull that tight and then do a chain, or a single crochet, I should say. Give myself a little bit of, about a foot. Pull that through. So now we just created a knot on top of that stitch. Put our hook aside for a sec. Grab up our darning needle and a threader because my eyes are old. These threaders are very easy to make. I make them with buttons, glue gun, and you can buy this silver piece, the double-sided threader, on Amazon. All right. Now with the tying the top, now this is not a very big hole. That's like the size of $50. But if the opening was like the size of maybe a baseball, then you definitely want to do this because you don't want it to be really cinchy, crunchy tight, you know, like bulky. To make it less bulky, instead of going through both of the V, I'm only going to go into the back of the V. And I'm also not going to wrap this around and keep going through the back because that's going to also make it more bulky. So now I'm going to go back and forth on just that back stitch. For this particular hat, it's not that big of a deal, but if you have a bigger opening, then definitely you want to do this. So I'm just going back and forth, trying to go right through the stitch, not through the yarn. You know, don't split the yarn with your stitches. And the back, and just back and forth. I've got a couple more. Then will be the fun part. I'm really excited to see how this particular idea in my head will work up in an actual stitch. because I have these thoughts, and then I'm like, oh, can I make that? And that's another thing too. That's another way of troubleshooting to figure out and changing and going on your own path on certain patterns. Saying, oh, if I don't do this or I do this, that'll look this way or that way. All right, so I went around. Here's my beginning piece. Pull it. See how it's cinched up really nice and tight and neatly? It's not really bulky. That's the look I want. And then I'm going to just pull it through a couple threads, wrap it around twice, hold it tight there, pull this through. So I'm making a nice tight knot. And just for argument's sake, or for security of tightness, I'm going to kind of go around in between the stitches. They don't have to be perfect. This is just going to reinforce those stitches in that round part. Now at this point, if I'm planning on putting on a pom-pom, which I did grab 2 pom-poms. I have a cream color and a kind of a burgundy rose kind of color. And I wasn't sure how either of those would look on the hat, but then with the orange, I have to be careful. So that's something we'll think about later. But at this point, I'm going to pull this through, right through that little center. I'm just going to drop the needle through, because I'm going to leave this tag just the way it is. Because if I would like to tie a button for one of the pom-poms or tie the pom-pom on, whatever, I have that option. And then we're going to pull that aside and get that off the table. Now for the fun part. We're done with the orange for a moment. Take our marker off. Now this is the part here I've got to think about for a hot sec. But I'm going to start with leaving a little bit of a tail so I can sew and tuck that in. Make my pretzel. I know there's so many ways to do a slip knot easier and quicker, but I just don't have the patience to figure it out. All right, where's my beginning? Here's my, there it is, because here's the tail, which I'll cut that little edge off. All right, now I got to remember now I have to see if I can remember how this goes. If I start here, I'll be going this way, and then I can work up the back. All right, let's try it. So I'm going to go right where this is where we joined it. I'm going to go right in here, pull it through, make a single crochet. Now this is the part that I seen done, I haven't perfected. Being that this is the bottom of the brim, I'm not going to want to make these super tight. But I think what they did was they pulled this up and then took the hook around and then slid it through. So next stitch, pull it up, turn the hook around, pull it through. This is the twist part. Oh, that's cool looking. Oh, I'm doing a thing. That's really cool looking so far. So giving myself a little bit of leeway there so that I could twist that and it not be super duper tight. Yeah, I'm digging this. It's going to be a pain in the butt to do the whole hat like this, but might look cool, right? All right, so single crochet before I pull it through, spin that around, pull it through. Giving myself a little bit of space. Oh. And pull it through both. There we go. Oh. So hard when you do a certain stitch for a little while and you have to change the stitch. Your brain just wants to automatically do what you did before. So what I'm doing is I'm holding the bottom. All right, so here we are. Pulling that through, giving myself a little bit, and I'm holding right here as I spin that around. And that's giving me enough, maybe. There we go. Oh, Scruffy's barking a little. Hopefully she won't start going on one of her barking fits. Yeah, I'm digging this. And what's cool too is this particular yarn changes the colors. That's gonna look really cool. Yeah, I'm liking this. What do you think so far? Yeah, in the comments, if you have any suggestions of things that I'm doing that I can do better, or something that maybe there's something that you have an idea of you'd like to try, I will be more than happy to do an episode of Wing It with me, and we could figure it out together. Yeah, this is cool. All right, I'm going to put you on hold as I finish to the other end. All right, be right back. All righty, we're almost to the end. Getting the hang of how to do this. It's working best with this kind of a hook because I could slide it up and gives it, you know, more judgment on the space as far as being able to pull the hook part through. All right, we're at the end here. I'm going to do one more stitch. Cool. Yeah, I'm noticing that it's making that part stick out a little bit. It's not having as much of the give. There's still give to it. This is going to lay a little more open and wider on the head. So that's interesting to know for future reference. See how it kind of bows it out a little bit? That's cool. All right, so we have this last stitch. I was trying to figure out how to work it up here, and I'm not thinking of anything cool and exciting to do on the brim. So I'm going to tie this off. So we slip stitched, went through. I'm going to do one more. Whoop. And then cut this off, unfortunately, and I'll have to tie that end in, but not a big deal. Not too much. Now, we're going to start up on, we're going to do this on the entire, we took the thing out. Here's our join, where we joined the top to the bottom. And now I could tie these together and then weave them through this little piece here. So that'll work out great. So here's where we have it joined together, our first row that went into the brim. And then we started with the back loop right here. See that first one? And I'm going to do this twist stitch all the way around, all the way to the top of the hat. But let's see if this works now. All right, so I've got my slip stitch. I'm gonna try something here. Let's see. I'm gonna put it through. No, that ain't gonna work either. Darn. I was trying to see if I could come in through the back, but I can't. All right, so never mind. Here's our first stitch. We're gonna start with a regular stitch. And then I guess maybe, because now I'm going to work on the top, but then this tail, I'm going to come up through the underneath, just grabbing the tail, pulling it on the hook, and pull it through. So I could weave that in again on this join part, so you're not going to see it through the orange. All right, see how we wing it? Just wing it with me, baby. I have to come up with a Wing It With Me song now, right? All right, now this is the fun part because I have no idea. I'm going to bend it. Okay. I've never done this before, so you're learning along with me. Pull it through. And I'm being careful so as not to pull stitches out. I've kind of folded it to where what's protruding is the stitch that I want. Give it a little bit, put my fingers there, grab it, and pull through. hope this makes sense to you. This is kind of cool. And I'm totally late for what I had to do. So I think I might go do what I have to do and come back and finish this hat. And I was going to call this the Twisted Zebra, but it's actually more of a spiral because it's not stripes, it's a spiral pattern. So we might have to change the name. No biggie. But that's how it's looking. And I could just keep on going like the ever-ready battery all the way up the hat. Oh yeah, digging that. Look at that look. Protrudes out. Yeah, I'm loving this. All right, so I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to go do what I have to do and come back. And I will see you in a few minutes. Bye-bye. Well, I'll see you in a second for you guys. All righty, so we're back. I went all the way up on the sides. Really cool looking. Almost a little creepy, just saying. So I'm all the way to the top. And I want to tie this off and finish this piece off, but I don't want to leave that here because it's like a little nubbins hanging out. So I've decided to find another stitch up here. This one works. And I'll go through a couple of them, I guess. No big deal. And I'm going to slip stitch that just so it pulls that end stitch closest to the hat itself. And then pull it through again. And then we're going to cut this off. Oops. Pull it through. And then again, just I'm going to come up through the underneath. Grab that tail. Pull the tail through the bottom. So the underneath actually, with this stitch, just to show you, that's the wrong side. That's pretty cool. But now I have the two tails, and I'm going to leave these out because I'm not sure whether or not I would like to put a pom-pom on the top. Let's get this out the way. So there's the hat. Tuck the tails. That's crazy looking. And it feels really cool. To be honest with you, now that I'm feeling this, it's a real like tactile ASMR. Is that possible? This might be a really cool stitch for some kind of amigurumi because it looks like scales almost, right? Look at that. Anyway, so here's the two possible pom-poms. And it's gotten darker in here because it took a minute to do this. Trust me, it did take a minute, but it was still fun. It wasn't annoying, and it's only on a hat. I would not necessarily want to do this stitch on a blanket. Just saying, because I'd be doing it. I probably would never get it done. I wouldn't live long enough. But yeah, here's the two pom poms. I'm kind of digging that one, though. This color is actually in this other yarn, but it kind of mutes it. I like the pop of that one. Yeah, I might put a pom-pom on, and that would clean up that. Well, the top looks pretty good though. Anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, this is just these two, and let me know, I mean, if you're still here, let me know in the comments. I would appreciate if you like this kind of a tutorial where it's not me telling you what to do, it's me and you working it out together to come up with new creative ideas on our own. Yeah, be curious if this is something you'd like me to continue doing, or also any type of critiquing. I know I babble on. I know these are way too long because I don't know the editing part of it. But if you can be a constructive critiquing, I would totally appreciate that. If you're just going to leave something to be mean, keep it to yourself. Okay. So anyway, I love you guys. And yeah, so we changed the name to this one now, didn't we? We changed it to the twisted spiral cap. How's that? Oh, I like that. Twisted, yeah, it's hard to say. Twisted spiral. Anyway, love you guys. Have a yarnalicious day, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye for now.